What's up, everyone? We are back with another big day of MLB action here on Monday, April 8th. We had a great Sunday with a lot of wins on that slate. We did not come through on our biggest play of the day, though. We did lose that Cardinals pick, but other than that, things went very, very smoothly. We nailed Atlanta minus 210. Obviously, they're a big favorite, so not a ton to be made off of that one, but we were right on the money with Pittsburgh plus 105. We nailed the Yankees minus 1.5. That netted us plus 135, so that was a very solid play. We got the Chicago White Sox and Kansas City Royals under in that one. It was a close one. They scored 8 runs, but we had them at 8.5. So that'll work for us. The Chicago Cubs came through for us also, minus 110, so that was a solid win, and we nailed the over in that game. Colorado Rockies were only a very small lean for us, plus 135. They did end up losing that game, but a 3-2 loss on a flyer on an underdog pick like that, we can't feel too bad about that one. A very solid winning day on Sunday. Let's see if we can back that up with another solid winning day on a Monday slate here. We're pumped to dive back in and find some more winners, so go ahead and hit that like button to keep these daily picks coming, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We appreciate all the support lately, but still over 70% of our viewers aren't subscribed. I know we can get that number to be a little bit better. It's 100% free to subscribe to the channel and will keep you from missing out on these daily videos. These picks are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list, and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports, which are brought to you by our entire team of experts. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today to get our best advice on them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be pinned in the comment down below. Now let's get into our first match of the day. We got the Miami Marlins visiting Yankee Stadium. The Marlins come into this game fresh off of that solid win over the Cardinals. We did not see that one coming. They won that one 10-3, put it away pretty early. It's their first win of the season, so now they're 1-9 overall. Not exactly what you're hoping for as a Marlins fan. The Marlins are handing the ball to Jesus Luzardo in what will now be his 3rd start of the season, so we're starting to build up a little bit of a sample size on this guy, seeing how he's looking this season so far. In both of his games, we've seen the Marlins take losses, but that's not too big of an indictment of him. He's not looking terrible out there. He's pitched a total of 10.1 innings. Against the Pirates, he pitched 5 innings, gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, and had a startling 8 strikeouts in that game, so a pretty solid outing for him. He did give up a home run. He's actually given up a home run in each of his 2 outings, so that could be something to look at for all you prop bettors out there. Him giving up a home run seems like kind of just part of how the games are going for him right now. He did not get the win in that game, obviously, as we saw the Marlins lose that one in extra innings, 6-5. In his 2nd start of the year, he pitched 5 1/3 innings. He did give up 3 earned runs in that game, 4 hits, 2 walks, and only 5 strikeouts. So we saw him regress a little bit against the Angels, who aren't exactly an elite team, and he's going to have to pitch a lot better than he has in both of his 2 previous outings, in this one going up against a very tough opponent. In general, we're seeing the Marlins, they are not having a great time. Their hitting numbers did get a good bump with that win over the Cardinals and scoring 10 runs, but just in general, not having a good year. They're in the bottom 3rd of the league in basically every major hitting category. Their batting average is terrible, slugging percentage very, very bad, and their on-base percentage has them almost in last place in the entire MLB. Jake Burger is off to a pretty good start. He's hitting 308. Nick Gordon's hit a couple of home runs, but we're not exactly going to freak out about 2 home runs in 10 games from a guy that's hitting 200 this season. The Marlins are going to have to keep up this hot hitting if they want to have any chance in this next game. They're taking on the New York Yankees. They're handing the ball to Nestor Cortez, who comes into this game ready to make his 3rd start of the season as well. He's over 1 on the year, and things have looked a little bit shaky so far. In his first game of the season, he pitched 5 mediocre innings against the Houston Astros. A good team for sure, but he hit 4 earned runs, a home run, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts, and 5 innings of work in that game, so not exactly amazing. In his 2nd start, he pretty much got shelled by the Arizona Diamondbacks, not a team that you want to be getting knocked around by. He pitched 5 innings in that game also, but 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Nothing really to write home about in this one, so he really is going to be in need of a bounce back performance, but he's going up against what would seem like the perfect team to get it in the Marlins. The Yankees come into this game fresh off of a solid win over the Toronto Blue Jays. They won 2 out of 3 games in that series, so that has to feel pretty decent. They're absolutely smashing the ball right now. They've scored 16 runs over the last 2 games. Their numbers over the course of the entire season aren't exactly amazing, but they're in the top 2/3 of the league in a lot of the important statistics. Their batting average could use some work. Their slugging percentage isn't amazing, but they're driving in some runs. Their on-base percentage is pretty good, so everything is pointing towards the Yankees offense being very, very good this season. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Marlins are plus 135. The Yankees are minus 160. I don't know if I'm super interested in either one of those numbers, given the fact that neither one of these starters are really ones that I'm going to be able to trust a whole bunch. We do think the Yankees bats are coming alive quite a bit in this one, so if you wanted to look at the Yankees minus 1.5 but plus 125, I guess you could make a case for that, but the problem for that is I don't really trust Nestor Cortez. The over-under in this game is 8.5, and I think that's where we're going to be at in this one, unless there ends up being some weird weather, like this is a super rainy game or some crazy wind. I don't think that's really what we're looking at for this one, though. The over-under is 8.5. We see Miami is a huge over team. They're 8-2 to the over this season. The Yankees are 6-3-1 to the under, but with their bats coming alive and going up against a weak opponent, and their starting pitching not looking super hot for this matchup, I think there's going to be a lot of runs. Give me the over in this one. Next up, we got the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Detroit comes into this game fresh off of a series loss to the Oakland A's. In their last game, they lost 7-1 at home against Oakland, so not exactly what you're looking for in that game. They're handing the ball here to Reese Olson. In a solid first outing of his season, he faced the New York Mets. He only gave up 3 hits in 5 2/3 innings, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. The walks are a little bit of a concern, but here in the early goings, we're not exactly going to beat a guy up for having a couple walks in his first start of the season. Just in general, the Tigers have actually gotten off to a fairly decent start. They haven't really played the toughest schedule. They won the first 4 games of their season. They had a couple games against the Mets postponed, so that helps a little bit, but losing a series against the Oakland A's, not exactly a great start. It looks like they're cooling off already, potentially. This offense is not looking very good. They've only scored 28 runs over the course of the season. That ranks them 25th in the MLB. Not really where you want to be as a team. They're batting just a shade over 200, so not great. Their on-base percentage is very bad. Their slugging percentage is not much better, so this isn't exactly an offense that we expect to be great, and so far that is certainly coming true. They're going to need to summon up some offense in this matchup, though, going against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are handing the ball to Mitch Keller. Keller comes into this game. It's going to be his 3rd start of the season. He hasn't really went deep into games, and there's been a reason for that, because he's been giving up some runs. This guy is sporting a 6.55 ERA already through 2 starts. He got knocked around by the Miami Marlins of all teams. That's pretty embarrassing. 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts against the Miami Marlins. Not a good outing for really anybody these days. Against the Washington Nationals, in his 2nd start of the season, things did not get better. He gave up 8 hits in that one, only lasted 5 1/3, 4 earned runs. He gave up a home run in that game, 2 walks and 5 strikeouts, so not exactly one of the Pirates' premium pitchers, I wouldn't think, and things haven't really gone well for him so far. The Pirates, on the other hand, their offense has been clicking in a big way. They've scored 56 runs overall this season. That's 4th in the league. Their team batting average is right at 270, which is very good. Their on-base percentage is fantastic. They're really in the top 5 or top 10 in most of the major offensive categories, so if they can get some decent pitching, they're always in a very good spot. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see that Detroit is 3-6 to the run line this season, so that's something to look at for sure. Pittsburgh is 8-2 to the run line, but we're a little bit scared of the run line here with not a very good pitcher on the mound. We don't really have a ton of faith in Keller in this one. We see that the under is live for Detroit. They're 5-3-1 to the under, but the Pirates have been very good to the over this season. They're 7-3 to the over. We see that number at 8.5. The Pirates are only -125 just to get the win in this game. I think that's where we lean to. If you wanted to go with the over in this game, I wouldn't blame you too much there. I think the Pirates are definitely going to score some runs in this matchup, and I do think Detroit's going to score some runs also, so probably our slightly bigger bet will be over 8.5, but we also like the Pirates -125 in this one. Next up on the slate, we got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds in an NL Central showdown. The Milwaukee Brewers come into this game. They're 6-2 on the season overall. They just won a series against the Seattle Mariners. They scored 12 points. They won 12-2 in their last game, so hitting the ball pretty well coming into this one. They're handing the ball to Aaron Ashby. This will be Ashby's first start of the season, so we're not 100% sure what we're going to see from him in this game. He's a lefty pitcher coming off of shoulder surgery, so it's going to be interesting to see how he looks in this game. I'm not really expecting miracles from him. He doesn't have fantastic career numbers overall, so we'll see what he's got out there, and we'll see if the Brewers' hot-hitting offense can back him up. Milwaukee has not really hit the ball that great over the course of the season overall, but like I said, they're coming off of a very solid offensive game against Seattle where they scored 12 runs. Just in general, we've seen William Contreras hit the ball really well. We've seen Christian Yelich. He's getting off to a fairly solid start, which can be something of a scary time for him. You never really know what you're going to get out of this guy. He's had MVP seasons and then terrible seasons, so right now, 3 home runs, hitting .308. He's only got 4 RBIs, so that's not exactly amazing, but just in general, this team seems to be rounding into form at the plate. Their batting average team-wise is up over 250. Their on-base percentage is getting pretty good, so they've got to be pretty excited going against the Cincinnati Reds and getting to play in Cincinnati in that small ballpark. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a loss to the Mets. They lost 2 out of 3 in that series, but they're off to a 5-4 start overall, so not really a disaster. They're handing the ball to Graham Ashcraft in this game. This right-handed pitcher comes into this one. Is his second start of the season. He pitched 6 innings of pretty solid ball against the Philadelphia Phillies in his first start of the season, but he ended up taking the loss in that one. He did give up 2 home runs in that game, so that's a little little bit of a concern, especially if you're going to be a pitcher that's going to pitch the majority of his outings, you would think, in Cincinnati. You don't want to be giving up a ton of fly balls because a lot of those are going to carry out of that small ballpark. He did have 5 strikeouts against the Phillies, so not exactly terrible, but this is not somebody we're super stoked about. We don't think he's going to come in and really dominate this game necessarily, especially if the Milwaukee Brewers really are getting things figured out at the plate. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Brewers are minus 105, Cincinnati's minus 115 being at home. That makes some sense to me. Milwaukee is minus 1.5. You're getting plus 150 on that, and Milwaukee is 5-3 to the run line, so that's pretty interesting. But in this matchup of a pitcher who's making his first start of the season and another pitcher who's giving up a lot of hits and a lot of runs so far in limited work, guys, we're leaning towards the over in this game. It's in Cincinnati, so that helps a lot, and the over-under is at 9.5. We wish it was more at like 9 or 8.5, obviously, but we'll take what we can get. Give me the over in this game. I think we'll see a lot of offense. I'm not sure who's going to come out with the win in this game. We do see Cincinnati is 6-3 to the over, so that helps with this lean a little bit. So we expect to see a lot of runs in this Monday game. Give me the over. Next up, we got the Seattle Mariners. They're making the trip to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. Seattle's handing the ball to Luis Castillo in this one, hoping that he can get on track after 2 very bad outings to start the season. He got shelled by the Boston Red Sox, giving up 4 runs in only 5 innings of work. 4 runs on 6 hits isn't exactly a disaster, but 2 walks, a home run, only 5 strikeouts, not exactly a great effort, and they lost that game 6-4, so not fantastic. And then he backed that up with another very tough outing against the Cleveland Guardians. He gave up 10 hits and 4 earned runs and a home run while striking out 7 in that game in 5 2/3 innings, so at least he ate up a little bit of innings in that one, but just in general, not too excited about how he's looked so far. And just in general, Seattle can't be pumped about how the season has started. They're only 4-6 overall. They split their opening season series going 2-2 against the Red Sox, lost their series against the Cleveland Guardians, and then lost another series against the Milwaukee Brewers, giving up 12 runs in the last game. Now they have to hand the ball to Castillo. Can't feel really good about that. Blue Jays are handing the ball to Jose Barrios, and they can feel pretty good about how he's looked so far in the early goings against the Tampa Bay Rays. In his first start of the season, he gave up only 2 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings. He did give up a home run in there, but he had 6 strikeouts, so not too bad. Against the Houston Astros, he also gave up 6 hits. That's a very good team though, but he only gave up 1 run in that game, 1 earned run, a home run, but he had 3 walks and 2 strikeouts, so not exactly gunning guys down, but he's finding a way to navigate his way through these games without giving up a ton of runs, and he's given his team a chance to win. They're actually 2-0 in his starts this season, and he's got a 1-0 record with a 2.25 ERA, so really nothing to nitpick about that. This right-hander has been looking very, very good, and just in general, the Blue Jays are definitely looking for some positives, but when you look at the teams they faced so far this year, it has not been easy going. They split their opening season series against the Rays, going 2-2. That's a pretty tough opponent. Then they lost their next series going against the Astros, going 1-2 in that series, and then they just lost 2 in a row to lose their series 2-1 to the New York Yankees. So they're hoping they can get kind of back on track here. Their offense hasn't gotten going that well. They've got to hope the pitching staff can pick them up a little bit and that the offense can just get going. They have to feel very good about handing the ball to Barrios, though. He's gotten off to a great start this season. When we look at the numbers in this game, we see the Blue Jays are minus 120. That seems pretty appealing to me, but even more appealing to me is Toronto minus 1.5. You're getting plus 180 on that bet. The Blue Jays are playing at home in this game against the run line. Despite losing a lot of games, they haven't looked that bad. They're 5-5 against the run line. You could also look at the over in this game a little bit, but I don't love it because I think Barrios is going to have a pretty good game. We can also look at Seattle. They're 3-7 against the run line overall this season, not having a very good time. I think that continues here. Give me Toronto minus 1.5 plus 180 on that run line. I think they find a way to win this game by at least 2, if not more. I think it'll be a comfortable win for Toronto playing at home in this game. Moving right along, we've got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Mets haven't gotten off to the best start in the world, going 3-6 overall, but they have won 3 of their last 4 games, and they're handing the ball in this one to Julio Teheran, who will be making his first start of the season. His career numbers have not been amazing. He's sporting a 4.4 ERA. He's 3-5 overall. Nothing terrible, nothing great. He's a serviceable pitcher, but I don't think the Mets are exactly looking to have him be part of their bullpen in the super long term. It'll be interesting to see, though, how he fares getting back out there on the bump, and it'll be interesting to see how the Mets offense can progress. They've been playing a little bit better here, but it's mostly been due to their stellar pitching. In their wins, they haven't scored more than 3 runs this season, so that's pretty concerning. In terms of runs scored, they're 28th in the league, 22 runs overall. Guys, that is not getting it done. Their team batting average is around 185, absolutely terrible. On base percentage and slugging percentage, they're the worst slugging percentage team in the league, so not a lot of positive things to say about this offense. We do see Francisco Alvarez is off to a decent start. Pete Alonso has hit 2 home runs, but he's only batting 184 on the the year. Just not a lot of pop coming out of those Mets bats so far. Obviously, we think they're going to turn things around a little bit. I don't think they're going to be quite this bad, but my God, not a good start here in the early goings for them. They're taking on the Atlanta Braves and Charlie Morton. The Braves come into this game fresh off of a sweep over the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they're not going to feel bad at all about handing the ball to Morton. He had a fantastic start to open his season. He shut down the White Sox for 5 2/3 innings. He gave only 3 hits over that span, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Didn't give up any runs. The guy looked very, very good out there. He's off to a fantastic start to his season. He collected the win in that game, so things are looking very, very good for Charlie Morton, and they're looking pretty good for the Atlanta Braves. They're 6-2 overall. Their hitting numbers are looking very, very respectable. They're in the top 5 in most of the major statistical categories. They've only scored 51 runs, but there's been a little bit of bad luck there. Their team batting average is over 300 right now. Slugging percentage, they're leading the league, and their on-base percentage is very, very good. All those things are kind of reflected here in the numbers for this game. We see Atlanta is minus 210 in this one. The Mets are plus 180. Right now we're looking at Atlanta. If you want to get this game at a reasonable price, you're looking at minus 115. Give me Atlanta minus 1.5 to get minus 115 in this one. I think they win this game pretty comfortably against Julio Teheran. You could take a glimpse at the over-under in this one. If you're leaning towards the under, I definitely get it. Atlanta's not necessarily a huge over team, and we see that the Mets are 6-3 to the under. And while we don't expect Teheran to have a very good outing, we do expect Charlie Morton to keep things pretty quiet while he's out there on the mound. So definitely give me Atlanta minus 1.5, and you can give me a taste of the under 9.5 if you would like. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals let us down yesterday against the Marlins, so we're not too happy with them right now. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of a loss to the Nationals, but they did win that series. The Phillies are off to a 4-5 start. They're handing the ball here to Spencer Turnbull. This righty has gotten off to a pretty good start to his season. He pitched 5 innings against the Cincinnati Reds. He gave up 1 run in that span, 3 hits. He had 7 strikeouts and no walks in that game, so a very solid outing for him, and he's going up against a Cardinals team that hasn't exactly been hitting the cover off the ball. The Phillies have been pretty middle of the road in terms of their offense, and just in general. They didn't score a ton of runs in that series against the Nationals. They did score 5 runs, I guess, in game 2, but nothing too special. Their best outing has been 9-4 over the Cincinnati Reds. So just overall, this offense isn't exactly killing it, but we do see Bryce Harper. He's off to a good start, and there's reason to think this Phillies offense is just going to get better here as we go along. The St. Louis Cardinals, coming off that loss to the Marlins, they're going to be handing the ball to Miles Mikolas. Mikolas comes into this game. It's going to be his 3rd start of the season. He got knocked around pretty aggressively by the Dodgers in his first outing, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs in that outing, so not exactly great. He bounced back, we'll say, a little bit against the Padres. He had 6 innings pitched in that one, but he gave up 7 hits and 2 earned runs. He had 4 strikeouts in that outing, so he's 1-1 on the season overall, but his ERA is still up there over 6. He's got some work to do. He's a very, very solid pitcher, though. I expect him to improve as the season goes on, get a little bit stronger here in the early goings, but he's going to have his work cut out for him going up against the Phillies. Just in general, the Cardinals' offense has not looked good to start the year. They're middle of the pack or worse in most of the major statistical categories. Their team batting average is not very good. Their team slugging percentage is really, really startlingly bad. They're ranked 24th in the league in slugging percentage, so not exactly fantastic. Looking at the numbers in this game, we see that the Phillies are plus 105 with Turnbull on the mound. I think the odds makers are giving a lot of respect to Mikolas in this game. We see that the Phillies minus 1.5. If you take them on the run line, you can get them plus 164. The Cardinals, if you take plus 1.5 for them, they're minus 200, so we're not interested in that at all. What we're really looking at in this game is the over-under. It's sitting at 9 right now. That seems a little bit high to me. Neither one of these teams really have significant trends towards the over or the under. I think in this game, with both offenses not really off to a fantastic start and 2 pretty solid guys out there on the mound, we're going to take under 9 in this one. I like this spot a decent amount. I don't think either team's really going to be hitting the cover off the ball against either one of these pitchers, so I believe offense will be at a premium. Next up, we've got the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. Arizona finished things off in their series against the Braves, losing with a sweep. They lost all 3 games there. 2 of those were 1-run games, but the last one they lost 5-2. Kind of nice for them to keep things close against the Atlanta Braves, a very solid team, but you have to feel like they were hoping to get at least 1 win out of that series. This team has not had a great time. They did start the season 3-1 overall, but those games were against the Colorado Rockies, so we're not exactly going to write home about doing well against the Rockies. And against the Yankees, they struggled, and then obviously getting swept here by the Braves. They're handing the ball here to Zach Gallen, who will be making his 2nd start of the season against the Rockies. In his first start, he looked very, very good. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Not too bad. And he also looked very, very good against the Yankees, which is much more impressive, obviously. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, and 3 walks. not too shabby, not too shabby at all. This right-hander's off to a 2-0 start to the season. He's sporting a .82 ERA. He's got 9 strikeouts over his 2 games, so things are looking pretty good for him. The Diamondbacks have to be pretty excited to be handing him the ball, and the Colorado Rockies can't be too excited to be facing the Diamondbacks again. Things didn't go great in that first series. Things have not gone very well for the Colorado over the course of their first 10 games. They're only 2-8 overall. Not a lot of Rocky Mountain High going on for them. They did win 1 game in that series against the Tampa Bay Rays, but their last time out they lost 3-2, so not exactly great. They got struck out 11 times by a very young pitcher, so not really not going to be feeling too good if you're a Colorado Rockies fan right now. They are handing the ball to Kyle Freeland in this game. He has not gotten off to a good start at all. The poor guy's only lasted a total of 5 2/3 innings over 2 starts. Against the Diamondbacks, he gave up 10 hits and 10 earned runs, guys. He only gave up 1 home run in that. He was getting absolutely just whacked all over the place, not looking good. Things did not improve when he took on the Chicago Cubs. He gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, 7 earned runs, 2 home runs in that game. Just not having a good time at all. Neither one of those games took place at Coors Field either, so he didn't have the excuse of being in a super hitter-friendly park like he's going to be for this outing. The Rockies have not been a great offensive team so far. Ryan McMahon's off to a good start. He's hitting almost 400 on the year. He's got a couple of home runs, so he's not looking terrible, but other than that, their offense isn't looking amazing, especially for a team that expects to have a solid offense, one that they wish would thrive hitting in a very hitter-friendly park. Looking at the numbers in this game, we see that the Diamondbacks are heavily favored. They're -185 in this game. Arizona -1.5. You can get them at -111, so that's looking pretty enticing in this one. We see that Arizona is 7-3 to the run line this season overall, so that's pretty enticing also. Guys, we're taking Arizona -1.5. They looked very good in this matchup earlier in the season. I think they can make that happen again. Kyle Freeland is not off to a good start. I don't see that changing in this one. I don't think he's got it right now. I don't know that he'll last very long in this game just in general, so maybe they'll end up hitting against the bullpen quite a bit. Either way, give me Arizona in this one. I think they get a blowout win against the Rockies. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Rays come into this game, they have to feel a little bit better. They just won 2 in a row against the Rockies. They won that series 2-1. They haven't exactly gotten off to the start they would have hoped for this season, but things seem to be turning around a little bit. In this game, they're going to be handing the ball to Zach Eflin. It's been a tale of 2 starts for this guy so far this season against the Toronto Blue Jays. He got knocked around. He gave up 6 runs in that one, 3 home runs, got shelled pretty hard in that game, but then against the Texas Rangers, he looked much better. He lasted 6 1/3 innings. He gave up only 1 run in that game, no home runs. He had 5 strikeouts and a walk, so we think he might be on his way up now. Things could be turning around for him. He could be back on track for this season, and the Rays in general have to feel like they're hitting the ball a little bit better. Those numbers seem to be trending up as well. Right now, they're pretty much middle of the pack, but I think they're trending in a positive direction. We're going to see this offense look quite a bit better. The question is, how will they look tonight against Tyler Anderson? The Angels come into this game, they just lost 12-2 to the Red Sox their last time out, so they got shelled pretty hard in that one. They lost that series 2-1, but before that, they swept the Marlins. They only won 1 game against Baltimore. Things aren't exactly looking super optimistic for the Angels this season, but there's always hope for everyone here in the early goings. We see Tyler Anderson. He's off to a good start. He's 1-0 on the season. He dominated the Miami Marlins in his first start of the year. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, but when those numbers are coming against the Marlins, you can't really get too excited about that. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the over-unders at 8.5. We see both of these teams have very small trends to the over, so we might take a little bit of a look at that. But looking at the Tampa Bay Rays, they're -145 in this game. The question is, how good of a start can we expect to see from Tyler Anderson? This isn't going to be one of my bigger picks of the day, guys. I don't really know what to expect out of Anderson. I tend to lean slightly towards the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they're figuring things out, and I think the Angels are going to have a tough season. So I guess give me a small taste of Tampa Bay -145, but I'm not going to be on this game in a big way. With both teams slightly trending towards the over, I guess if you wanted to take the over, you could, but that doesn't really make too much sense to me with both of these pitchers coming off a pretty solid game. So we're mostly going to be off this game. Maybe give me a small taste of the Tampa Bay Rays just to get the win. Next up, we got the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Cubs come into this game fresh off a win over the Diamondbacks. They managed to win that series. Their last game, they won in dominant fashion. They won 8-1 in that game. Things looked very, very good. Rain shortened Imanaga's start, but he looked good in that game. Just in general, the Cubs are cruising right along. In this one, they're handing the ball to Javier Assad, who got off to a fantastic start to his season. He dominated the Colorado Rockies. I know it's the Rockies, but a good outing's a good outing, especially here in the early goings. He had 6 innings pitched, gave up only 4 hits, 5 strikeouts in that game, did not give up any runs, so the guy looked very, very good, albeit against a bad team. The Cubs in general hitting the ball pretty well to start this season. They're ranked in the top 10 in pretty much all the major categories. Cody Bellinger is off to a decent start. We see Ian Happ hitting the ball really well. Just in general, this team is looking very, very good, and they're going to need to continue looking good going up against the San Diego Padres. The Padres haven't had a great start to their year at all. They struggled against the Giants, they struggled a little bit against the Cardinals, and then they lost another series to the Giants, so not exactly the start they were imagining. They're 5-7 overall, like I said, so things aren't looking great, but they can feel pretty good about the fact they're handing the ball to Yu Darvish. He's had 3 starts this season with kind of some mixed results. His last time out, he looked decent, but not dominant against the St. Louis Cardinals. He had a very good outing against the San Francisco Padres, but he only lasted 5 innings in that one, and against the Dodgers, he only lasted 3 2/3 innings, so not exactly amazing, but his ERA looks good. He's striking out some batters. He's looking pretty good there, so no real huge concerns here with Yu Darvish. The guy's an absolute monster, and we're expecting a good season from him. In general, the Padres have been hitting the ball really, really well. They've scored 58 runs over the course of this season. Their team batting average is in the top 10. All their major statistical categories are in the top 10. They've been getting a little bit lucky, perhaps, with the run scoring, but just in general, they're looking pretty good. We see the Padres are 6-6 on the run line. They're 6-5-1 to the under. We see the Cubs are more of an over team. They're playing pretty well here in the early goings. We see the Cubs are plus 120 in this game. The over-under for this game is 7.5, so a pretty small number. It seems like the odds makers are expecting pretty good days from both of these starting pitchers, and I kind of tend to agree with them. This is a pretty tough game to figure out, guys. I think if anything, I lean to the under in this game. I don't think either one of these teams is going to have a good hitting day, but I'm not going to be on this game in a big way. I think this is pretty evenly matched. I'm excited to watch this game, see what we see from both of these pitchers, but just in general, I'm giving the under as a small taste in this one. Last but not least, we got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. The Nationals come into this game fresh off a win over the Phillies, but they needed that one to salvage 1 game out of that 3-game series. The first 2 were losses. They got shut out in 1 game, scored only 2 points in the other, and the Nationals just are not off to a good start to this season. They're only 3-6 overall. In this game, they're handing the ball to Trevor Williams, who will be making his 2nd start of the year. In his first start against the Pirates, he looked pretty good. He got the win in that game. He went 5 1/3 innings. He gave up 2 earned runs, so not exactly dominant, but only 3 hits in that game, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, so a pretty decent start against a team who's been hitting the ball pretty well here in the early goings. So I think the Nationals probably feel good about that. What they likely don't feel fantastic about is how mediocre their offense has looked. It hasn't been absolutely bottom of the barrel, but it just has not been great. They've only scored 29 runs over the course of the year. Their team batting average is .222, so not really fantastic. They're hoping that they can bounce back. They're going to be going up against Blake Snell in this game. He'll be making his first start of the season, but the guy is a monster. His 2023 stats were fantastic. The guy's a Cy Young Award winner. Like, he's an absolute monster. And while weird things can happen in somebody's first start of the season, we're not exactly pegging him to have a tough outing. The Giants got some help in their last game to get the win over the Padres, but they're not off to the best start ever. They're 4-6 overall, so things are looking a little bit tough. Their offense hasn't gotten off to a great start, but they have to be hoping that with Snell out there on the mound, they can get things headed in the right direction. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Nationals are big underdogs. They're plus 195 in this game with Snell on the mound. That makes sense to me, but it is just his first start of the season. We see San Francisco at -1.5 is -102. Neither one of these teams are very good against the run line. Both of these teams trend slightly towards the over. This is another tough game, guys. I don't have a fantastic read on this one. Give me the Giants with Blake Snell on the bump. I don't think that's a bad idea ever. Sure, it's -215, but I think they find a way to get things comfortably done against a Washington Nationals team that's not having a very good time here in the early goings. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.